Release your expectation now as the God of wonder stretches his hand toward your destiny. And I speak directly into your spirit, commanding every locked desire to rise under divine influence as your being opens to receive uncommon manifestations that align with the deepest cries in your heart. And I call forth the power that restructures unseen pathways to bring your long-awaited answers into motion as supernatural currents begin to rearrange the atmosphere surrounding you. Place your right hand gently on your chest as a prophetic act while I decree that every desire birthed by divine intention stirs within you with fresh life as heavenly pressure pushes aside the forces attempting to suffocate your longing, and your inner wells expand to host the wonders appointed for your destiny as every silent dream gains strength under the weight of living prayer, and your mind aligns with the magnitude of what is being released as courage replaces timidity and your expectations ascend beyond natural boundaries. I command every hindrance resisting the arrival of your heart's desire to break under divine force as invisible chains disconnect from your progress, and every voice whispering impossibility is silenced by the authority released into your environment. And the God of wonders overrides natural delays as time begins to bow to divine intervention that ushers your desires into accelerated fulfillment, and your atmosphere becomes charged with heavenly activity that pushes your answers closer with every breath you take. I declare that the desires carried within you receive the breath of possibility as power rests upon your imagination and transforms your petitions into living realities waiting to manifest. And your journey shifts under supernatural alignment that draws what you seek into your path with precision. And every weight pressing against your breakthroughs loses its hold as divine fire burns through restrictions and clears the road for fulfillment. And your spirit stands tall with unwavering expectation as the God of wonders begins to orchestrate unimaginable outcomes on your behalf. I speak a greater surge of divine intervention into your life as the God of wonders leans toward your petitions and floods your atmosphere with supernatural possibility. And I decree that every seed of desire buried beneath disappointment rises with new strength as divine power breathes upon hidden expectations and commands them to flourish again with unstoppable vitality. And your heart receives holy fire that melts hesitation and amplifies bold longing as heaven responds to the sincerity of your cry. I command every obstructing force standing between you and the fulfillment of your heartfelt desires to collapse under the weight of divine authority, and every adversarial structure designed to suffocate your expectations is dismantled by heavenly judgment, and your spirit ascends into a realm of unwavering certainty as the God of wonders asserts his supremacy over the details of your destiny and aligns your steps with miraculous outcomes. I declare that your desires are lifted from the realm of waiting into the realm of manifestation as divine currents shift timelines, accelerate answers, and overturn limitations that once caged your progress. And your environment becomes saturated with angelic activity that escorts your desires into your hands with precision and unstoppable force. And you rise into a dimension of bold faith that refuses to negotiate with fear. I speak restoration over desires that were crushed by betrayal, delayed by warfare, or buried under seasons of silence, as divine breath resurrects what you thought was lost and summons breakthroughs that carry the signature of the God who performs wonders. And your heart becomes strengthened with assurance as peace settles upon your expectations and confidence returns to your pursuit of divine outcomes. I decree that everything tied to your heart's longing begins to align in your favor as divine orchestration rearranges circumstances, shifts relationships, and opens doors that were sealed by impossibility. And your patience is rewarded with movement as supernatural alignment invades your affairs and compels progress where stagnation once ruled. And your atmosphere becomes heavy with the evidence of answered petitions. I announce that the God of wonders touches your desires with transformative power that changes impossibility into testimony. And the very areas that once brought pain now become arenas for victory. And every detail concerning your request falls under divine supervision, as heaven ensures that your expectations are not wasted, and your spirit receives fresh capacity to host the wonders that are being released into your life even now. I release a heavier stream of divine power into your atmosphere as the God of wonder stretches his hand towards the depths of your longing and commands the desires anchored in your spirit to rise with unstoppable force. And I decree that every request shaped by divine intention receives supernatural recognition as heavenly authority turns its gaze towards the cries that have lingered in silence. And your heart is now overshadowed by the presence that transforms impossibility into certainty. I speak breakthrough into the areas where your desires have met resistance as divine fire burns through invisible obstructions and clears the pathway for immediate movement. And every environment that once rejected your advancement now becomes compelled to yield to the weight of divine intervention released upon your life. And your expectations are lifted into a realm where delay holds no power because the God of wonders has stepped into your matter. I declare that desire long suppressed by fear or discouragement is now strengthened by bold faith as courage rises within your spirit to embrace what heaven is presenting. And your voice gains commanding force to call forth what belongs to you as every whisper of doubt is silenced under the influence of supernatural conviction. And the desires hidden beneath layers of disappointment are revived with fierce intensity. I decree that your heart aligns with divine timing as the orchestration of heaven rearranges seasons, redirects steps, and reorganizes the circumstances surrounding your request. And everything connected to your longing begins to move towards you with precision as divine favor magnetizes the resources, connections, and opportunities needed to fulfill your petition. And you step into a dimension where doors open before you without struggle. I speak supernatural courage into your pursuit as divine energy strengthens your resolve to stand firm until manifestation. And the weight of past failures loses its grip on your expectations as miraculous assurance stabilizes your emotions and anchors your trust. And your spirit absorbs heavenly confidence that insists on results because the one who performs wonders has already begun to intervene. I command the forces that orchestrated delays around your desires to be scattered by divine judgment, as every pattern designed to frustrate your hope is dismantled beyond repair, and every cycle of disappointment is broken as the God of wonders declares a new chapter over your petition, and your inner posture shifts from waiting in fear to receiving in faith. I decree that every detail of your heart's desire falls under divine construction as heaven begins to assemble the components of your testimony, and unseen hands walk behind the scenes to perfect the very outcome you have longed for. And your life becomes surrounded by the undeniable evidence of supernatural coordination. And the very atmosphere around you thickens with the presence of forthcoming answers. I command a fresh wave of divine wonder to flood your atmosphere as the God who performs impossibilities stretches his power over your desires and surrounds your expectations with supernatural force. And I decree that every petition anchored in your spirit rises with amplified authority as heaven responds to your longing with movements that transcend natural logic, and your entire being becomes receptive to manifestations sculpted by divine intention. As the presence of the God of wonders settles upon your requests, I release judgment against anything resisting the arrival of your heart's desire, as spiritual barriers crumble under the force of divine intervention. And every wall built to delay the fulfillment of your longing collapses instantly under heavenly pressure. And your spirit receives renewed courage to believe for outcomes that defy every trace of doubt. and the atmosphere surrounding your life is now charged with the energy of imminent manifestation. I decree that your desires ascend into the realm where divine attention fixes upon them with deliberate intentionality, and the God of wonders orchestrates uncommon alignments that push your long-awaited answers into rapid motion. And each element connected to your request becomes magnetized by favor and drawn towards you with ease as heaven's agenda unfolds without interference. I speak strength into the foundations of your expectation as divine fire consumes the remnants of discouragement and rekindles passion where hope had grown weary. And your inner posture shifts into unwavering anticipation as supernatural boldness rises within you to host the magnitude of the wonders being prepared for your life. And every fear that once whispered defeat is silenced permanently by the voice of divine assurance. I command every system, structure, and circumstance tied to your heart's desire to align with divine order as the God of wonders reorganizes everything around you to favor the emergence of your testimony, and the very environment that once opposed you becomes compelled to usher your desires into manifestation. And your name begins to echo in the corridors where decisions concerning your breakthrough are made, and every outcome turns in your favor. I decree that the desires hidden deep within your heart, those you have never spoken aloud but carry in silent longing, are touched by divine light as the God of wonders interprets the language of your soul and answers requests you could not articulate with words. And your life becomes the ground where supernatural intervention plants undeniable evidence of heaven's involvement. I declare that your journey progresses into a phase where miraculous acceleration takes hold of your desires as timelines shift, seasons fold, and processes shorten to produce results far beyond natural pace. And everything that once seemed distant suddenly moves toward you with force as angelic assistance pushes your desires into visibility. And every hand assigned to help you becomes stirred into action without delay. I speak a divine stirring into your spirit as holy anticipation lifts your emotions into a realm of confident expectation, and your thoughts no longer entertain defeat because the energy of breakthrough saturates your consciousness. And your desires are now surrounded by an atmosphere too charged with divine intervention for failure to survive. And your destiny begins to echo with the footsteps of your long-awaited answers, drawing near with undeniable momentum. I release an even stronger flow of divine intervention into your life as the God of wonders stretches his sovereignty across every longing hidden within your spirit. And I decree that your desires experience a supernatural pull into manifestation as heavenly power surrounds your expectations with force that cannot be resisted. And your atmosphere becomes saturated with possibilities too strong for delay to restrain. As divine intention begins to shape outcomes in your favor, I command every shadow that has hovered over your desires to scatter as divine light pierces through emotional fog, mental heaviness, and spiritual resistance, and your inner being becomes illuminated with fresh conviction that your heart's petitions are rising before the God who performs unmatched wonders. And every silent cry locked within your soul is now heard by the one who satisfies the yearnings of those who trust him. I decree that everything designed to suffocate your desires or bury your expectations is judged by divine authority as cycles of frustration break and patterns of disappointment are overturned permanently. And your spirit receives power to stand boldly as the God of wonders rewrites the chapter of your destiny with outcomes that exceed your imagination. And every forgotten request resurfaces with new strength. I declare that the desires you have carried through tears, warfare, and endurance are now surrounded by supernatural favor as the God of wonders places his hand upon the areas of your life that demand intervention. And every corner of your destiny that has been overlooked by men becomes highlighted by heaven. And the place where you were ignored becomes the place where you are remembered and rewarded. rewarded. I command a shift in the systems and structures connected to your requests as divine orchestration compels the right individuals, resources, and opportunities to move toward you. And nothing assigned to your desire will bypass you as supernatural precision guides every occurrence, and your name is mentioned in conversations that influence your answers. And every detail aligns to bring your desire from the realm of hope into the realm of testimony. I decree that your heart is strengthened with unwavering resolve as divine confidence anchors your expectations, and every part of you receives the courage necessary to embrace the wonders being prepared, and hesitation loses power as supernatural assurance stabilizes your emotions and removes the fear that once clouded your desire, and your posture shifts into a state of unshakable readiness. I declare that the God of wonders breathes upon your destiny with transformative force that accelerates your desire's arrival as time bends, obstacles fall, and pathways open without struggle. And what once required years condenses into moments as heaven rearranges processes to deliver outcomes swiftly. And your life becomes the ground where undeniable miracles rise without delay. I release an overwhelming surge of divine power into your atmosphere as the God of wonders draws near to the depths of your longing. And I decree that every desire anchored in righteousness receives heavenly activation as supernatural currents pull your expectations into alignment with miraculous fulfillment. And the weight of divine intervention settles upon your spirit as every part of your being becomes prepared to host outcomes beyond human comprehension. I command every force that has risen against your desires to be shattered by the authority of the God who performs incomparable wonders. And every chain forged through delay, confusion, or spiritual contention breaks instantly as heavenly fire sweeps through the corridors of your destiny with unstoppable force. And your inner environment becomes sanctified ground where impossibilities dissolve. I decree that the God of wonders touches the most sensitive parts of your longing as divine breath awakens requests you buried in silence, and every suppressed expectation gains new life as the atmosphere around you becomes charged with supernatural encouragement, and your heart expands with bold anticipation as divine assurance lifts your emotions into alignment with imminent manifestation. I declare that every barrier positioned to block your desires loses its structural integrity as the God of wonders dismantles adversarial networks and disrupts spiritual operations designed to frustrate your advancement. And the path before you becomes widened as divine intention pushes aside hindrance, and the momentum of your breakthrough intensifies as heaven commands acceleration. I speak divine remembrance over your life as the God of wonders revisits the petitions you thought time had erased, and every request that seemed forgotten is revived under divine review as heaven begins to honor the desires of your heart with precision, and your destiny becomes surrounded by supernatural activity, orchestrating answers that reflect God's commitment to your joy. I decree that the desires conceived in pain receive fulfillment clothed in glory as the God of wonders transforms former disappointment into a platform for victory. And every tear you cried over unfulfilled longing becomes a seed that demands a harvest. And the weight of divine compassion ensures that not a single expectation formed in purity is abandoned. I command the alignment of resources, people, decisions, and events needed to bring your heart's desire into manifestation, as the God of wonders reorganizes structures and shifts circumstances in your favor. And everything required to complete your testimony begins moving toward you without resistance, as divine orchestration overrides human limitations. I declare that your heart receives fresh courage to embrace the wonders being prepared, as fear loses influence and doubt loses voice. And every part of your inner being stands upright with confidence, anchored in the God who excels patience in performing the unimaginable. And your expectations rise with sharpened strength as heaven confirms its involvement in your matter. I draw a final surge of divine power over your life as the God of wonders settles his presence upon every desire you have carried. And I decree that the fullness of what heaven has begun concerning your petitions comes into completion as supernatural certainty anchors your spirit and seals the movement already released on your behalf. I declare that every request aligned with divine intention is now secured under heavenly authority as your atmosphere remains charged with the evidence of answers drawing near. I speak that no force is permitted to interrupt what God has initiated in your destiny, as every barrier collapses permanently under divine judgment, and your heart stands strengthened with unwavering peace as the God of wonders confirms his involvement in your desires through quiet assurance settling deeply within your being. I decree that the longing you have carried with faith receives the breath of finality as divine orchestration perfects the outcome designed for your joy. I declare that your steps move forward beneath the covering of divine favor as the pathway to your desire remains open and protected from interference. And the grace working in your life ensures the manifestation of what has been spoken, and your posture remains aligned with expectation as heaven continues unfolding the answers crafted uniquely for you. Now whisper once with conviction, God of wonders, fulfill my desire. And let the weight of that declaration anchor the seal upon your life. It is done. Your desires are secured. Share your confirmation of what shifted within you as a witness of the seal resting on your petition.